Hi y'all, Snarky J Cosplay here. The wait is finally over. Obi Wan Kenobi is finally out on Disney Plus, and they gave us a 2-episode premiere. Now, I really didn't have super high expectations for this show. To be honest, I wasn't really sure what to expect. But since the Book of Boba Fett, I had had people asking me if I was going to review Obi Wan Kenobi, and my answer, of course. So, without giving too much away, here are my thoughts on the 2-episode premiere of Obi Wan Kenobi. This is a surprisingly solid show. It's off to a really good start. After the Book of Boba Fett, I kind of had my doubts. Disney had already shown me that they were really good at mishandling beloved characters, so I really didn't have high hopes for Obi Wan Kenobi. However, I actually enjoyed this. It is definitely a slow start. Each episode is over 45 minutes, which I really liked, and though it is a slow start, it moves fairly quickly. The 2-episode premiere ends on a note that has me really looking forward to episode 3, as well as the rest of the season. Episode 1 kicks off with a recap that is so powerful and so well edited, and tells Obi-Wan and Anakin's story so beautifully that I would recommend even the most expert of Star Wars fan sits down and actually watches. Do not click skip recap. It's totally worth it. I give episode 1 a 7 out of 10 rating. I thought it got the show off to a great start. Episode 2 I thought was a little less exciting, so I give it a 6 out of 10, but episode 2 does end on a really great note and has me really stoked for the rest of the show. Both shows do have their weak moments, flaws in the writing and the pacing, but they're generally enjoyable. That's the non-spoiler section of my review. Now, let's get into the meat of it. While I will admit episode 1 is pretty slow at times, and I can acknowledge that a lot of Star Wars fans are probably sick of seeing the trope of their beloved heroes having given up on their way, like Luke in the sequel trilogy, for instance, I think this is really well written, beautifully acted, and so deserved. In the story of what happened between Obi-Wan Kenobi and his Padawan, it's only natural that he would be really broken up about everything that took place. Ewan delivers a beautiful performance as an exhausted and guilt-ridden Obi-Wan Kenobi. It's really well acted and worth watching. Another notable performance for me comes from the third sister. I know a lot of people on the internet are already arguing that she's super unlikable, but I think she's unlikable in a good way. We're not supposed to like her. She's supposed to be arrogant, she's supposed to be really driven, and she's supposed to want Obi-Wan Kenobi's head on a stick. She's killing it. I'm personally looking forward to seeing more from her. Now, the action in this show, which seems to be the case for anything that isn't The Mandalorian, is really hit or miss. Episode 2 has some really neat sequences featuring Obi-Wan Kenobi engaging in hand-to-hand combat, but episode 1 has that weird chase of the hunters trying to get to Leia in the woods, and it's paced and acted out in a kind of goofy way that reminds me of the Vespa speeder chases in the Book of Boba Fett. And from what y'all can remember of my reviews, anything that reminds me of the Book of Boba Fett automatically gets a thumbs down. However, the visuals in this show are really cool so far. They've got some really neat practical effects going to create different species and stuff as Obi-Wan Kenobi travels through different parts of the galaxy. That's another highlight. In episode 2, we're already seeing him on a different planet, and we also see bits of Alderaan from Leia's perspective, which I loved. I get really sick of seeing Tatooine. We've seen so much of it in the films, and we also got a ton of it in the Book of Boba Fett. So seeing different environments in Star Wars being explored is always a plus for me. Another thing that I think is kind of hit or miss is the dialogue in this show. While we do get some beautiful moments, I really enjoyed watching Obi-Wan Kenobi talk about Padme to Leia. I think that sometimes the dialogue is overly expositional. And what I mean by that is that they're trying to tell you the whole story in dialogue that is supposed to sound natural. Like when the Grand Inquisitor is outright just telling the third sister that she comes from the gutters, that she's nobody, that they'll never accept her. I can understand what they're trying to do, but it just sounds unnatural. They're telling the story through dialogue in a way that doesn't really sound like a real conversation that two people would have. But this is kind of typical of Star Wars. Even Carrie Fisher complained about it with the original original trilogy, so we kind of just have to let it slide. We get some interestingly placed comic relief in the form of Camille Nanjiani, who plays a kind of shady Jedi impersonator, but he is sort of funny, and naturally throughout the rest of the episode, we do get other semi-comedic moments, and a lot of those actually come from little Leia's interaction with Obi Wan Kenobi. I didn't think that we would be seeing this much of a 10-year-old Leia, and while initially I thought she was kind of annoying, the more I watched her, the more she grew on me. She's actually pretty well written, considering the kind of personality and the strong will that we know from Leia in the future. This makes perfect sense for her, and I think she's actually kind of adorable. As usual for Star Wars, the score is brilliant. It's on brand, big moments, tells the story through the music. I really enjoyed it. I always look out for scores, especially in Star Wars films, and this one is really, really good. The highlight of these 2 episodes for me, and I'm sure for 95% of the folks that watch this, is that moment at the end of episode 2 when Obi-Wan finds out that Anakin is still alive. Ewan's performance is so intense. His reaction is so raw that I could feel what he was feeling through the screen, and that is brilliant acting on his part and brilliant directing by Deborah Chow. I could not be more excited for episode 3 after seeing Anakin's eyes pop open when Obi-Wan reaches through the Force to talk to him, and we can see him in the tank, the respirators on, we can hear that breathing that is so iconic. I couldn't be more excited to see Darth Vader, Anakin Skywalker, back. Like I said, I give episode 1 a 7 out of 10, I give episode 2 a 6 out of 10, except for that moment at the end. I just try to not let those big reveals kind of change my opinion about the entire episode. So far, I think this show is off to a great start. I think both episodes were really solid, and I thought they were really enjoyable. That's all from me. I've been Snarky J. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know your opinions on Obi Wan Kenobi in the comments below.